What is going on? And welcome back to my channel. As always, I am Cole, and thank you for stopping by. If you're here for the first time, this is the video where I go and I talk about my most anticipated comics that are coming out, and I'm going to be talking about the ones that are coming out the week of January 11th, 2023.
Most anticipated comic books. Most anticipated comic books from Cole.
All right, and how wild is it that we are already getting to the second new comic book day of 2023? That's pretty wild for me. One of the things that I always lead this video off with is that I get all of the information that I find for this video on League of Comic Geeks. As you can see, this shows off everything from pretty much every publisher, and it's probably, from what I've seen, the best place to figure out if you're looking for what books are coming out each week. The one thing I want to preface with, and the reason why I show this, is because sometimes there are delays, sometimes there are certain things that are not on this list that come out, or vice versa. So sometimes I might pitch a book that doesn't actually come out that week. And the reason why I like to say that is because I don't want you to go to these shops, look for something and be like, why wasn't it there? What does he not know? I try and put this video out early so that it's able to give you some information about what you need to do when you're going to the new comic shop, if you're looking for some advice on some books to pick up. And with the start of 2023, one of the things that I wanted to do was cut down on some of the books that I've just been pulling in physical. One of the things that I've had a lot of hard time doing in these last few months is just trying to figure out what to get rid of in my collection, and what to keep. So one of the things that I've really noticed is that there's just a lot of stuff that I get that, sometimes it's like, that was good. Do I keep it? Do I not keep it? And then it's kind of like, well, I just bought it. I feel like I should keep it, kind of a thing. It's made it hard, I guess, for organizations. So one of the things that I really wanted to do this year especially was try and read more digitally. So one of the decisions that I made is that I am going to probably cut every single DC title from my list and just get DCUI. So if you are unsure what that is, it is DC, I think, Universe Infinite. And the idea, there's an Ultra membership. And the idea is you pay $119 a year, but you get access to a vast library of DC comics, which includes all new comic books 30 days after they release. So normally what happens is, at least to my understanding, is that if a book is going to drop on Tuesday, the previous book will come out on that Wednesday on the platform. The reason why I kind of wanted to do this is, with some of the DC stuff, I've enjoyed it reading in the more of the arcs, but some of the stuff that I want to read more monthly, I can probably wait a month to read it. It is kind of a unfortunate decision that I had to make, but for 190, if I'm getting, I looked and I was getting, somewhere between 8 and 10 DC comics. So you look at that as, anywhere from, $40 to $60. And if I'm doing that monthly, pretty much after 2 months, that almost pays off for itself there. I'm still going to grab Detective Comics and Batman, because those are two books that I've just planned on always trying to collect. I might grab certain books here and there. If there is a big book that comes out that I'm very interested in, I might get it, just, read it. But by doing so, one of the things that I thought that I would talk about is there's two books that I'm pretty pumped for that are coming out on DC. I won't probably read these right away, but I'm excited to do it. So I'm going to show them off. So the first one is Wonder Woman 795. This is bringing in Yara Flor to Wonder Woman. Now, I have not been reading Wonder Woman. I hardly ever read Wonder Woman. But I'll probably read 794 on DCUI, just so that it starts adding Wonder Woman to things I've read, so that when this book drops, I can end up reading it. Another book, which I didn't actually talk about this as a number one, which it normally would probably be something, is going to be Danger Street number 2. This is coming from Tom King and Jorge Fornes. One of the things that I'll probably do with this book too is that starting Monday, I will probably reread that number 1 on DCUI, just so that I end up getting that notified to me every time that a new issue of that comes out. This was kind of a decision that was a little bit harder for me to make because I do really like DC and I like collecting DC books. But at the end of the day, I think, for me, this just makes a lot more sense. And I'm probably going to read a lot more DC stuff because of it. Because, just waiting that extra month, it'll let me jump into some things that maybe I didn't normally want to, take that leap into and have to invest that amount of money. But now that we're past that digital plug, one thing that I noticed with this week is there are a lot of, I think, final issues that are coming out. So I'm going to talk about a few that I think have been really solid books. The first book is going to be the Bone Orchard Mythos 10,000 Black Feathers, number 5. This is the mini series finale from writer Jeff Lemire and artist David Stewart. This has been kind of wild of a book. I've really liked what I've gotten from the Bone Orchard Mythos stuff. Jeff Lemire is one of my favorite writers, so I'm probably going to get into this. And horror is kind of one of my favorite genres when it comes to both like comics and movies and really most things. So this book has been right up my alley the entire time. I'm very excited to see how this ends. And apparently this is going to be an extra length issue. It looks like it's coming in at, I think, maybe 40 pages. It actually does not say on League of Comic Geeks, but it is still at that $3.99 cover price. So have you been reading any of the Bone Orchard Mythos books? I think 10,000 Black Feathers has been kind of weird. It's about these two girls who were friends. One of them disappears and the other one comes back to their small town, and there's just been a lot of weird stuff going on. They kind of wrote these stories, and some of these stories have come to life. And yeah, when Jeff Lemire writes a book, I usually really enjoy it, especially, I know some people say that it seems like a slow burn, and sometimes his books do take a little bit longer to pay off, but for me, they are always worth it. And another book that is ending, I think at least, it does not say on League of Comic Geeks that this is the final issue, but there's End After End number 5. This is from David Andre and Tony Daniels. I've talked about this book plenty of times on this show, but I just kind of wanted to leave this here because this is a book that I think once that trade drops, you should be looking out for it. It's pretty much about once you die, you're kind of in this war that never ends, and you just keep going and going. And yeah, if you want to keep living, you just have to keep surviving this war, and it's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. And yeah, there's going to be a few more Vault books on this list because I think Vault is having a very heavy hitting week this week. As I mentioned, a lot of Vault books. Another book that is ending is going to be Mindset number 6. This is from writer Zach Kaplan and artist John Pearson. I have just really loved Mindset. The idea of Mindset is that there was this app that was supposed to kind of like set you free from your phone. But the issue is that it had to tap kind of into your brain to do so. I'm normally not huge into sci-fi, but I know that my buddy over at the Pull List Examiner has mentioned that Zach Kaplan is one of their favorite writers right now for sci-fi, and I thought that I would check this book out, and I was definitely pleasantly surprised. It is very good, and I highly recommend checking this out, especially when that trade drops, because, this being the 6th issue, I think that this is going to be in trade fairly soon. I don't know the time difference between when Vault releases their trades and not, but I would highly recommend looking for this book if you can. And the final book of books that are in, not on number 1 is going to be Nightfall double feature number 2. This is once again another book from David Andrews and Tony Daniels. I really like this first issue. It is a bigger price tag. It comes in at $7.99, but there are 2 books kind of intertwined into this, and I thought that that was a very cool idea. The first story in this book starts off where things just try to start to gain skeletons that normally don't. I think they originally find it because there's a stuffed animal. They go through a CAT scan and they notice that this stuffed animal has this skeleton. I think that issue ended with a bed, and inside the bed was starting to get a skeleton. It's been kind of creepy. The other one is about this family is going on a trip, and the mom kind of gets sucked into this weird world. Both of these stories were very good, and I enjoyed both of them. And yeah, I'm just kind of excited to see it. I really like the idea of doing a double feature horror where it's kind of like, going into a drive-through and watching 2 different horror movies back to back. And I just thought the concept of this book is pretty cool. So I really like what Vault's doing with that. I can't wait to see what we get in this 2nd issue. And seeing as we were just talking about ongoing books that are on multiple issues, I'm going to pass it over to my guest, who's also talking about a book that is on multiple issues already. And this is the original bad boy of comic YouTube. It is Chris over at Chaos and Comics. So let's see what book he's going to pick.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Sarda at Chaos and Comics on everywhere. I am doing a most anticipated comic for Cole's channel, and the one I have chosen is Nature's Labyrinth. This is Nature's Labyrinth number 2, and number 3 is coming out on the 11th. This book is pretty cool. Zach Thompson is someone that I try to read as much as possible, and Bailey Underwood's has pretty good art here. This is the first time I've seen their art. So, the premise is pretty simple, like a lot of Zach Thompson books are. You sort of know, at least his Aftershock books, I sort of knew what he was going after. In this one, the premise is a bunch of felons get put in a maze and they finish it to the death. So it's something like Hunger Games, except not kids, felons or whatever. So there's a whole bunch of violence, a whole bunch of mystery and weirdness. A lot of this is driven by the characters. Those are our 2 star characters there, and there is like some kind of video game element in it, something like that. So I've only been 2 issues in. It's a 6-issue miniseries, and I've enjoyed it so far. Zach Thompson's just one of those creators I try to read or pick up most of their stuff, and that's what I have. Cole, it's your turn. I cut this out. What do I do? How do I send this to you? Gonna have to send you a link? I don't even know what to do.
And once again, thank you, Chris, for coming over to my channel and giving me a most anticipated comics. I've been loving bringing in guests to talk about this. So if anyone out there is interested in joining me, please let me know. You can hit me up on Instagram, leave a comment down below. I'd love to have you join me. It's just been fun seeing what other people are going to recommend. But once again, Chris's info is here. So if you have not already subbed to Chris, please make sure to go out there and do that. Nature's Labyrinth is a book that I think I remember seeing that first issue. I didn't end up grabbing it, and I'm kind of bummed. I do normally like Zach Thompson. He does some very weird stuff with nature, but Nature's Labyrinth sounds like a great book, and that's going to be one that I think I put in, I think it's only 4 issues, so I'm going to add that to my lookouts for trades. Mad Cave has usually been releasing a lot of very solid books, and to have an artist like Zach Thompson on a book, I think that's going to be a hit. So now we're going to get to the number ones. There is only one number 1 this week, and it is Black Cloak number 1. I don't know too much about this book, but I remember Bruce over at Bruce and Stephanie Comics mentioned that this is a book that he was very excited for. He mentioned really liking Kelly Thompson as a writer, and that was one of the reasons why he was adding this to his pull. I think that she might have done the Black Widow book. Yeah, I think Black Widow was what she did that Bruce was very into. So he mentioned that this is coming out from Image Comics. It is a $4.99 price tag, but it is 64 pages. It looks like we have Meredith McLaren on art, and we have letterer Becker Carey. The pitch here is Eisner Award winning writer Kelly Thompson heads to Image for the first time with Black Cloak, an all-new series with artist Meredith McLaren. Blade Runner style mixes with saga-esque drama is delectable fantasy sci-fi blend as 2 Black Cloaks try to solve the murder of a beloved prince in Kairos, the last city in the known world. Before his murder tips the city into world, the mystery begins in this spectacular triple-length first issue. So that's crazy. You get 3 issues for the price of loosely 1.25 issues. That's what it is. I remember when Bruce talked about this, he read that same pitch, and I heard Saga, and I knew that, hey, this is probably something that I will want to jump in on. It is a number 1, so worst case scenario, I'll grab the first issue. If I don't love it, maybe I'll wait and get that trade later on. I know. I said that I was done with the book, but hey, I'm just going to add this to the end, I think, every time, because every week I've been talking about these books, and I'm going to continuously bring them up. But we have a new Bad Idea book coming out this week, and it is The End, number 1. This is from the creative team Maria Latham and David Latham. So I don't know too much about this. It looks like you've got some war dudes in the back on the cover, and maybe they beat one of these dudes up with a baseball bat. But either way, this is a bad idea book, so you know that I have to grab it. And if you didn't see, last week, the bad idea challenge was to stick a bunch of peeps in your mouth. So I'll have a link to that video up here. If you want to check out something that's kind of gross, that's the place to do it. But hey, I'm going to continuously doing these because for the most part, they're relatively fun and fairly easy to be part of this. All you have to do is make yourself feel a little bit stupid sometimes. But hey, maybe at the end of the day, I'll get a crown and or some free comic books. So once again, I have been Cole. Thank you again for stopping back to my channel. If you are new here and you liked this video, please make sure to hit the subscribe button so that you can come back and see every time I drop one of these. I try and make this video release every Friday, but sometimes with life getting in the way, I do drop these on Saturday. But I love talking about new comics, so I would love to hear if there is a book that you are excited for, maybe a cover or even a trade paperback that is coming out this week that I did not talk about. Please leave that down below in the comments. As I mentioned, I have gotten DCUI, and I plan to read some DC books that I may have missed. So if there's a DC book that has came out in the last few years that you really think that people should be checking out, let me know that too. I can always give that a read. I plan this year to maybe talk a little bit more about doing some creator spotlights and maybe just doing, reviews on books that I read as I try and read back more into full arcs of books at a time. I'll probably make small videos on here reviewing those. I know that when I had created my gold, I'd asked people some ideas of things that they said. I think there were a few people that had mentioned that they wanted to see me do more review style videos. So that is something that I might try to work on this year. But once again, as always, I have been Cole. Thank you for stopping by, and peace.
Most anticipated comic books. Most anticipated comic books from Cole.